Every journey begins with a single step, but not every traveler knows where the road will lead. There is a weight to creation, a fire that burns in the soul, demanding to be shaped into something real. I have carried that fire my whole life, a restless hunger to tell stories, to build worlds, and to bring dreams to life. But the road of a storyteller is not paved with gold. It is carved through doubt, through failures, through endless nights staring at unfinished work, wondering if it will ever be enough. I've wandered through many paths, stop motion, medieval epics, and tales from distant echoes of a galaxy far away. I have built and abandoned, created and destroyed, searching for the story I was meant to tell. But now, I return to the forge to finish what I started, to tell stories that have lived in my heart since childhood. This is not just a recounting of my past. This is a declaration of who I am, and of the path that lies ahead. This is my story. Over the last few years, I've changed a lot, creatively and personally, and this platform has had a huge role in that. It's connected me with incredible people and given me lifelong friendships, and it's helped me grow in ways I never expected. My goal is to simply share my experiences and how they've impacted me, and hopefully, this story can add some value to your day as well. From brick films to beginnings. It all started when I was a kid. My friend Grant and I would make Lego stop-motion films. Well, mostly Grant did, but he got me into it. Grant and I eventually started making Lego stop-motion videos for YouTube and came up with something called Dumbsville. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Dumbsville is now a pretty big YouTube channel. Grant has turned it into something quite successful, and he uses it as a commentary channel now. But back then, we created Dumbsville as a web series about Lego characters living in a chaotic, stupid little town. It was all goofy and random, and that's how we landed on the name Dumbsville. But here's the catch. I wasn't allowed to have a YouTube channel. My parents didn't want me posting videos online, and apparently Grant's didn't either. So we both told our parents that it was the other person's channel, which in hindsight was probably not the best idea, but hey, we were kids and we wanted to make fun content. Forging a filmmaker. Fast forward to around 2011, 2012. Around this time I had a youth leader at my church named Ben. He had made movies when he was in high school, and that inspired me. At first, we wanted to make a Lord of the Rings fan film, but somehow that idea evolved into something original. We ended up calling The Armor of God. Ben helped me bring it to life, and it became a project I worked on with my junior high friends. He even let us use real swords for filming, which, looking back, I have no idea how our parents allowed that, but they did. We had an amazing time making those movies, but to be honest, they weren't great. I mean, we were all 12, except for Ben. I'm pretty sure I even posted some of them on Dumbsville channel because that was the only YouTube channel I had access to at the time, but I eventually took them down. I kind of just left the channel because it didn't really fit with what I was going for, and he had another direction he wanted to take it in. One of my friends, Nolan, was involved with the Armor of God films, and together we wanted to keep making movies. That's when we came up with the name Not So Amazing Studios. Now, some of you who've been around for a long time might remember that name. At this point, I still wasn't allowed to post videos on YouTube, so Nolan and I had to get creative. Instead of uploading our movies publicly, we made a YouTube channel where we posted them as unlisted videos. We also built a website called Not So Amazing Studios, and we used that to share our films with our friends and family. Around this time, I started a gaming channel called J-Man Miner. If you couldn't tell by the name, it was a Minecraft channel, and looking back, it was pretty cringy. I still wasn't supposed to be posting on YouTube, so gaming seemed like a safe option. I could make videos using only my voice without showing my face or using my real name. Eventually though, my parents found out about the channel. And after a conversation, they ended up letting me continue because they saw that people were actually watching it and I was having fun and connecting with my friends. So for some reason, they let me keep doing it. I eventually rebranded J-Man Miner to Groovenstein. Why, might you ask? I really have no idea. It just sounded cool. And I kept the channel going for a while, still making gaming content kind of on the side. But eventually my focus started to shift towards something new. A Time Lord's Journey. Around this time, some of my friends introduced me to a show called Doctor Who. Since I loved making films, and I hadn't done much since The Armor of God, and another medieval project I did called The Book of Journeys, I started thinking about making my own Doctor Who fan film. As I looked into other fan films, I realized something. Doctor Who was the perfect show for fan projects. The main character literally changes faces, and the story can go anywhere in time and space. That's what inspired me to create what would later be known as the Doctor Who pilot series. We released our first episode on September 15th of 2015, and to my surprise, it did really well. It was getting a lot of views pretty quickly, and I realized that the Doctor Who fan film community was pretty big. We ended up making 2 seasons with about 6 episodes each. It was also during this time that I met Luke Lane. I'm pretty sure he commented on one of my episodes of the pilot series, and we just really hit it off. He was also working on building a TARDIS for his series, and we connected over our shared love of Doctor Who and filmmaking. Luke and I became close friends, and to this day he is still one of my closest friends. He's contributed so much to my projects and my life in general, and I'm incredibly grateful for him. Through the Doctor Who fan film community, I made a lot of great friends. Luke, the guys from DDK Productions, and a bunch of other people that I consider very good friends to this day. I also had a lot of local friends that really helped bring this project to life. Just to mention a few, Zach, another youth leader, Chad, even my pastor, Ron,
Alien Invasion,
filmed with us for a couple episodes. After 2 seasons of the pilot series, I started thinking, if I were to do this whole Doctor Who thing over again, I would probably do it a little differently. My skills had improved, and my style had evolved from making more YouTube content, including the gaming videos. So, with all that in mind, I decided it was time for a reboot, a new identity, redemption, and reinvention. At the time, Not So Amazing Studios was doing pretty well. Back then, YouTube still allowed smaller channels to qualify for AdSense and be monetized, even if they only had around 1,000 subscribers. We tried to set that up, but ultimately something went wrong and it didn't pan out the way we hoped it would. It was around that same time that I started seriously considering YouTube as a career. As my passion for filmmaking grew, I began to feel like Not So Amazing Studios wasn't the right name anymore. People would tell me your channel is called Not So Amazing Studios, but you're making some pretty amazing stuff. Beyond that, my faith had always been an important part of my life, and the concept of redemption is something deeply personal to me. I wanted to make my work reflect that, so for a while I rebranded the channel as Redemption Studios. This is where we released the first few episodes of Doctor Who Regenerated. We filmed Doctor Who Regenerated in 2017 and started releasing the episodes in January of 2018. While I was still posting episodes, I wasn't actively filming anything new. By then, I was graduating high school and heading into college, and I still wanted to pursue YouTube as a career. Instead of juggling different projects across multiple channels, I created this channel, JERICHO Kane. A channel where I could combine everything into one place. I brought together my gaming content, my short films, and other creative projects under a single brand. For a while, I ran JERICHO Kane as my main channel, but over time I realized the range of content I wanted to make just didn't fit together, so I split things up while keeping everything under the JERICHO Kane brand. I had JERICHO Kane Films, where I posted the short films. There was JERICHO Kane Gaming, formerly Groovenstein, where I continued to post gaming content, and JERICHO Kane, where I experimented with other types of content. One big shift was my interest in men's fashion and style. I completely overhauled my wardrobe from being a nerdy Doctor Who fan to dressing more stylishly. As I got into the style community on YouTube, I started making videos inspired by creators that I followed. I liked Bloom On, so I made a couple of hair product reviews, and to my surprise, they actually performed pretty well. That's when I thought I could do this. This could be the thing. I leaned into it and focused on style content for a while. While I was building my JERICHO cane brand, I met two people that would become hugely influential in my life. Gabby, who's now my fiance, and my friend Jake Jasko. Gabby and I attended the same college. She studied photography and I studied video. And we naturally crossed paths multiple times. We worked together on some of my photography assignments, and despite my frequent interruptions in one of her other classes, somehow the professor didn't mind, so he kind of just let us work on stuff together. One of the first projects we collaborated on was a short film I was working on for school. It was a parody of The Office called The Classroom, and she was part of the cast of that. But that was just the beginning. She's been one of my biggest supporters, and always encouraging me to stay creative and pursue what I'm passionate about. Around the same time, I met Jake in an audio class, and we clicked immediately. He had the same creative energy as me, and we consistently bounced ideas off of each other. Similar to what I had with Luke during my Doctor Who days, but with Jake, our focus was a little different. We were brainstorming new ideas and fresh projects, and ways to push ourselves creatively. Today, Jake is the sound engineer for Redemption Studios and continues to be a huge creative influence in my life. He's someone that I always collaborate with. We will constantly hype each other up about new ideas, and it's a friendship and partnership I truly value more than anything. A huntsman, a smuggler, and a world builder. Solo, a Star Wars story, was about to be released, and Jake and I decided to create a Han Solo short film. We submitted it to our college's media awards, and we ended up winning the Spartan Media Award for the project. It was a huge moment for us. At the same time, I was also getting into The Witcher, and this kind of re-sparked my love of medieval fantasy. This got me thinking about rebooting my original Armor of God film. Now, Grant and I had tossed around the idea for a while, but now, with this new inspiration, I was ready to make it happen. So, Jake, a bunch of friends, and I came together to create The Huntsman, the first episode of the rebooted Armor of God series. The Huntsman also doubled as my final project for my college classes. By this point, I had done Smuggler's Bounty, the Han Solo short film, and The Huntsman, but I wanted to do something bigger. Since Solo was on my mind, I started writing a full-length Han Solo fan film script. After making the short, we wanted to take it further and create a feature-length project. During my research, I stumbled across the Rebel Scum podcast, and I decided to reach out to its host, James, about a possible collaboration. I told him about the fan film we were making and asked if they would consider giving a shout-out on their podcast. And to my surprise, James went a step further. He invited me to be a guest on the show and talk about the project. That episode led to a great connection with James, who was also into filmmaking. And through him, I also met Andrew Fantasia. For a while, I did quite a few collaborations with the Rebel Scum podcast as a group. And it was a really cool experience. I also made a lot of connections with them, and they helped me with the script of the Han Solo project and just helped propel me further into that project and that filmmaking. Around this time, my friend Grant and I came across an independent filmmaker by the name Ron Newcomb. I was immediately interested in his work, and when I realized he was an independent filmmaker like I aspired to be, I decided to reach out to him. To my surprise, he responded. Not only did I get the chance to interview him for a video on this channel, but he also became a big creative influence in my life. Ron has always been there to answer my questions, give advice, and help me think through ideas. His support and mentorship have meant a lot to me on this journey. Even after everything I had done, I still wasn't growing on YouTube. And that bugged me. I watched my friend Grant find success, and I was incredibly proud of him. I seriously think he's awesome, and I'm really glad that he found his thing. But I hadn't found mine yet. And that was hard for me. By the summer of 2020, I was finishing up college, and we finally finished filming the Han Solo fan film. Luke came up to be in it, as well as Andrew Fantasia from Rebel Scum. We wrapped shooting the film, and I jumped right into editing. But as you'll find out later, that edit is still not finished. At the start of 2021, on the surface, things seemed to be going pretty well. But I started realizing that I had the wrong mindset about YouTube and why I was doing it. I was still making style content, but I had kind of lost interest. I was still making films, but working on something as big as the Han Solo project, I knew I couldn't sustain that level of production all the time. And then I had a moment of conviction. I remembered the verse in scripture that talks about, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but lose his soul? That hit me hard. I realized I was starting to compromise, not so much in my actions, but in my mindset. I was creating to get views instead of creating because I was passionate about it. Taking a step back, I decided to take a break from YouTube. I shifted my focus to my job, and I also spent more time helping my girlfriend as she built her photography business. I let my creative projects sit on the back burner for a while. During this time, I also got into D&D with my friends. It became an unexpected creative outlet for me. I started playing in a campaign that would last 4 years, and through it, I developed a character for a book that I wanted to write. But that's honestly a story for its own video. In the summer of 2021, I attended Ellerslie Discipleship Training, a summer program designed to help strengthen my spiritual life and faith, and honestly, it was exactly what I needed. For the first time in a long time, I set everything aside, and that was exactly what I needed to do. After returning home, eventually I jumped back into D&D with my friends, slowly building a world that would eventually become Galicia. The inspiration for it traced back to my youth leader Ben, the same person who helped me create the original Armor of God film, and sparked my passion for storytelling. During the same time, some of my friends and I discovered Weekend Warrior, a medieval fantasy experience that Ron Newcomb had posted about, and we decided to go to it, and it ended up being another major source of inspiration that fueled my vision for Galicia and storytelling. I also started a podcast called The Nerd of the Game Table, where I recorded and posted the D&D sessions that I played with my friends. But after a while, it started feeling more like a hassle than a creative passion. Instead of enhancing our games, recording them just overcomplicated things, and I realized I'd rather just enjoy the experience with my friends than worry about making it into content. At this point, I was jumping from project to project, struggling to find my creative direction. I had tried gaming content, filmmaking, podcasts, and style videos, but nothing felt right. In 2023, I went back to Ellerslie for a week-long alumni event, and that's where I met Timothy. Timothy was my roommate for the week, and he was also writing a fantasy book, and our conversations reignited my desire to return to Galicia and turn it into something more. For years, I had been developing this world through D&D, even drawing ideas from the original Armor of God and Book of Journeys. One of my old high school friends who was part of the original Armor of God actually told me that I was a great storyteller and that I should write a book. But I didn't want to pursue it unless I knew it was something I was supposed to do. So I prayed about it. I was asking God for clarity. And at the end of the week, Timothy gave me a pen. It was a nice spring-loaded pen, and he told me something like, let the wielder use it to weave stories, or something like that. I'm honestly kind of kicking myself that I didn't write down what he said exactly, because I do not remember what it was. That was the confirmation I needed. When I got back home again, I dove into creating Galicia. I started fleshing out ideas into lore and characters and building the world itself. At first, it was just in my head and in my documents, but I thought I should start sharing some of this. I also filmed some short character videos for Instagram and TikTok with Jake, and this was kind of a fun way to bring some of these ideas to life visually. But once again, life got busy. Work took over, and my creative projects kind of fell to the side. Through all this, I kept coming back to one truth. Storytelling is my passion. The road ahead, finishing what I started. So, after a couple years of silence, I reconnected with Luke, and it reignited something in me. I want to finish what I started all those years ago. So, right now, Doctor Who Regenerated Volume 2, an audio series, is in production. I'm also finally editing the Han Solo fan film we shot back in 2020. Almost 5 years ago now. Crazy to think about. But it needs to be finished, and I want people to see it. Through Luke's influence, I've also gotten more into voice acting, and I want to use that passion alongside my love of storytelling to bring my fantasy world of Galicia to life. I've done a lot of different things on YouTube over the years, and if you've made it this far into the video, you definitely know that to be true. For the first time in a while, I feel like I'm genuinely doing this not because I want to make money or build a career out of it, but because I should be doing it. Because I love doing it. I may never make a living from this, and honestly, that's okay. But if there's even the slightest chance that a story that I create could inspire somebody else and add value to them, it's worth it. So, here I am. I'm working on the Doctor Who audio series to finally complete the story that I started nearly 10 years ago, and I'm going back to Redemption Studios to finish what I set out to do. I'm also diving into Galicia, developing a world through narrated videos, short stories, visual storytelling, artwork, map making, and maybe even some D&D homebrew. And I plan to share more of my voice acting along the way. And that's pretty much it. That's my story on YouTube. I don't know where this journey will take me for the next 10 years. I started back in 2012, and here we are in 2025. And I'm still going. Somehow, I lost my way many times. I got distracted, but no matter what I've tried to do, I always come back to storytelling. Because that's my passion. If there's one thing I'm passionate about, it is storytelling. And I feel that that's what I'm meant to do. So, if you made it to the end of this video, props to you. It's quite the feat. Thank you for watching. And if you've followed me across all these different channels over the past decade, thank you. Seriously. I know it's been crazy and inconsistent and all over the place, but I appreciate you sticking around. So here I am. I'm back. And I cannot wait to embark on this epic, creative adventure with you.